What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I've got a hell of a video for you guys today. We've got Mark Zuckerberg. He's coming out, he's spilling the freaking beans. And you know what? To me, I find it a hell of a lot suspect. This guy's coming out right now. We got the Trump transition team doing its thing, right? And it's just funny. The Biden administration's going out. You got Mark Zuckerberg. He comes out, made a video the other day talking about he's getting rid of fact checkers and he's going to go with a community notes system like X. And now he's going on Joe Rogan talking about, oh, the Biden administration was forcing us to censor people. Hang on. You guys said, well, it's ultimately our decision to do this, but yeah, I got a clip for you guys. This just seems way too suspect for my liking, right? It seems like, you know, we're getting all these wins all over the place, but hang on, is there something underlying going on underneath this that points in a certain direction? I think these people just see the wind shifting directions here and are just going to shift with that wind. Yeah, that's not a very good thing to do, and it shows your true colors when you just turn with the tide, if you will. You know what I mean? Just on a whim. You know, you got Trump coming in, so I guess now he's scared. Drop your principles, drop everything you're doing, and just shift automatically like this. This is crazy, y'all. These people, I can't stand these people. Let's get into this. Check this out, y'all. Revealed. Mark Zuckerberg tells Joe Rogan that Facebook was pressured to censor content on Trump COVID vaccine side effects. Yeah, that's right. So we already know this, but once again, he came out on the Joe Rogan podcast and spilled the freaking beans, right? Like, he is really going after the Biden administration on this, and it's kind of bad. It's quite scathing. But once again, I'm trying to look at this through, it's very suspect, if you will. He's just coming out now, right? This was 4 years ago when this was taking place. 4 years ago during COVID, he said they were yelling and screaming and cursing at him. Check this out, y'all.
You know, everything was shifting around. It just became very difficult to kind of follow. And this really hit the most extreme, I'd say, during the Biden administration when they were trying to roll out the vaccine program. And now I'm generally pretty pro rolling out vaccines. I think on balance, the vaccines are more positive than negative. But I think that while they're trying to push that program, they also tried to censor anyone who was basically arguing against it. And they pushed us super hard to take down things that were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, you know, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. We're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration. People talk about the First Amendment and okay, these tech platforms should offer free speech like the First Amendment. That I think is a philosophical principle. The First Amendment doesn't apply to companies in our content moderation. It's more of an American ethos about how we think that best dialogue is carried out. But the First Amendment does apply to the government. That's like the whole point, right? Is the government is not allowed to censor this stuff. So at some level, I do think that, you know, having people in the administration calling up the guys on our team and yelling at them and cursing and threatening repercussions if we don't take down things that are true is it's pretty bad.
Yeah, sure. That's bad, right? You shouldn't have the government trying to come in and silence voices online, regardless of what it is. Because, you know, he's talking about, oh, well, they were pushing us real hard on the vaccines. Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. But they were also pushing real hard on just ideological content, right? This is the Biden administration trying to force a cultural change, an ideological shift in the country itself. You can't do that, my guy. holy crap, this definitely violates the First Amendment, but we already knew this. I've been screaming about this for a while now, ever since the YouTube files and the Twitter files and all that came out. We had all those congressional committee hearings on that. I've been screaming about that ever since, right? You got the Biden administration with backdoor access, silencing voices online. And from what I'm getting from this kind of pisses me off in two directions. I kind of understand this from the Biden administration because they're just authoritarians. So of course they're going to try to do what they can to force their will upon everybody else, the forced ideological shift of this country, right? It goes way deeper than this, but as far as Meta, and we're going to get into the ideological shift here in a minute, but as far as Meta is concerned, right? Like, he knows this is going on. Obviously, he's the CEO. They're obviously going to tell him, look, we're being pressured to do this, blah, 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 blah. What should we do? Seeking advice from Mark Zuckerberg. I'm sure he knew this was going on outright, right? While it was going on, in other words, not after the fact. While it's going on. Okay, so if you truly believe in the First Amendment, right? Honestly, his cop-out of, it doesn't apply to companies, right? Well, sure, it doesn't. It is an ethos, and you can't have the government coming in and shutting this down. But once you were getting all this pressure, right, the right thing to do at that point, instead of capitulating to authoritarians, considering we have a free country, or supposed to be a free country, right? What you do is you blow the freaking whistle, my guy. You don't just capitulate and then wait until we have an administration change and we get this bastion of free speech coming in, so I'm going to spill the beans now. That's why I call it suspect. No, my guy, this is just disgusting behavior coming from this guy, and he is snitching on himself outright. A lot of people are going to see this and be like, "Oh my God, he was pressured." They're not going to think too deeply into it. Well, that's what these political pundits are out here for, right? We can look at this and be like, "Okay, well, this is disgusting behavior coming from Mark Zuckerberg," because, in that instance, you have a social media platform, right? So you have a duty to the people that subscribe to that social media platform to protect their speech, right? Sure, you have content moderation and you want to protect people, right? That's what the moderation is for, is protecting the users from harmful content, right? Now, that protection goes in multiple directions here. Right? You could protect your users from the government by coming out and blowing the whistle. Should have went on Joe Rogan, should have put out a video or something. You should have made a video talking about the government pressuring you to censor people online when they were pressuring you to censor people online. Blow the whistle on this, blow the freaking doors off of it. Light up an investigation, for crying out loud, instead of capitulating, just going ahead and doing it. And now that you see that the tides are turning here, now you're going to come out and say, try to play the victim in all this. No, I'm sorry. I'm not buying that, dude. This guy is a scumbag for this. And he just lost a lot of respect for where I'm concerned, at least, because you don't just capitulate to the government of all places, right? If you truly believe in these principles, and you have solid core principles that you'll stand upon, right? And First Amendment, allowing people to speak how they want, should be one of those. You don't just capitulate, my guy. You got to come out and speak about this. Let everybody know. I mean, for crying out loud, if anything, coming out and saying the government is silencing voices online. They're cursing, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're threatening us with repercussions if we don't censor this information. That's going to be the biggest story of the year. You will get all kinds of traffic, right? You will get loads of respect from not only the people that subscribe to your social media platform, but you'll probably get an influx of new subscribers because, hey, you're blowing the lid off of this. Obviously, this guy has principles. He's willing to die on the First Amendment hill over here for his principles. Coming out now and doing this just shows how much of a coward Mark Zuckerberg actually is. But look, I get it. I get it. You've got a lot of responsibilities when you're running a social media platform. However, you do also have your principles. You can't just abandon your principles because you have other things to think about, right? That's not how principles are supposed to work, right? I don't see any negative ramifications from blowing the lid off of this whatsoever because of simply what they were doing. And now we're going to shift a little bit to the ideological issue is what I was talking about. This is the forced ideological shift of this country. This is what the Biden administration was doing because it wasn't just the vaccine, right? It wasn't just that. It was the Trump administration. It was Trump getting elected. They saw, oh, well, we got a lot of mis and disinformation. Oh, we're trying to fight mis and disinformation. That's the excuse, right? Well, the things that they were actually censoring wasn't really mis and disinformation, right? People have their opinions. Opinions are allowed to be wrong. You're absolutely allowed to have the wrong opinion. But you can't try to force the ideological shift upon people. And the Biden administration attempting to do this is absurd, right? This is how it works. This is how all this works. You get out there, you get a couple of small voices. This is their progressive, right? This is why I will never be a progressive anymore because this is what they do, right? People think in a certain way. We are creatures of habit, if you will. So we don't really adapt to change all that well when it comes to our day-to-day lives, right? We do adapt well for certain things, but as far as our day-to-day lives, a lot of people, they like structure in their lives, right? So we start getting all this change. You get these small groups. They want to force this change upon people. The Biden administration just went right along with it, right? So what do? They get themselves put in these positions of power to where now they can censor people and make you feel like you are the minority, right? This is the forced ideological change to make you think you are in the minority. You're on the wrong side of history. This is why they constantly say, hey, you're on the wrong side of history. All you MAGA people out there, you're on the wrong side of history. Well, I'm sorry. I am sorry. No, that's not how reality works. But this is what they do. You get a small group of voices, the very, very small minority, to get out there and try to implement these changes on a widespread, so make you feel like you're the odd man out, so they can force their ideological shift upon everybody. It's just absurd what these people have tried to do in this country. It's insane. I've got a news article, as a matter of fact. Let's go ahead and get into that because I've been rambling, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and just rip through this right quick. I'm going to try to not interrupt myself so we can get it over with, but let's get into it right quick. Check this out, y'all. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg appeared on the latest episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, during which he revealed that Facebook faced massive institutional pressure to start censoring content on ideological grounds after Trump's election and during the COVID pandemic. Speaking on the pandemic, Zuckerberg said that everything was shifting around in terms of information, and that this really hit the most extreme, I'd say it was during the Biden administration. Yeah, we already went over that. That was all in the clip. All right, so here we go with some fresh stuff. Zuckerberg said that it was really in the last 10 years that people started pushing for like ideological based censorship, and I think it was two main events that really triggered this. These two events, he said, was the 2016 election of Trump, which also coincided with Brexit, and the 2020 pandemic. He said that looking back on 2016 and the aftermath, I gave too much deference to a lot of folks in the media who are basically saying, okay, there's no way that this guy could have gotten elected except for misinformation. You get this, y'all? Do you get this? Oh, the election deniers. These, you gotta love it. They're trying to call us out for saying, hey, hang on, what's going on with this shadow campaign over here and all this fraud, right, in the 2020 election? But they're still denying 2016. Oh, Trump is a Russian asset. Oh, is that so? People can't actually believe this stuff, right? It has to be that there's this kind of like massive misinformation out there. He said that some of it started with the Russian collusion stuff, but it kind of morphed into different things over time later, adding, so I took So I took this in and just kind of assumed that everyone was acting in good faith, and I said, okay, well, there are concerns about misinformation. That's what it is. This is where I call it, no, I'm sorry, that's not how this works, right? When you know you're censoring accurate information, you're taking people down because it's information that this certain party, this certain side doesn't like. It's inconvenient to these people, so you're going to take it down. You can't just say, oh, well, we were concerned about misinformation. Well, hang on. How do you know it's misinformation, blah, 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 blah. Plus, opinions, really, they kind of can be misinformation, but opinions are still opinions, and people are allowed to have those opinions and state those opinions regardless of how wrong they are. You can't just silence people for this thing. This is all absurd, y'all. We should, just like when people raised other concerns in the past and we try to deal with them. Okay, yeah, if you ask people, no one says they want misinformation. Right. But who decides what is misinformation? It's definitely not the government at this point, because we know the government has outright lied and lied and lied and lied to us, over and over and over again. So who do we trust to provide us accurate information? These days, it seems to be people like me, the people that get on, read these news articles, go and fact check all this stuff to try to get the most amount of information that we can to see what's true and what's not, and then try to disseminate this information to everybody else. Now, that's not picture perfect, right? We get stuff wrong, but we try our damnedest. It is what it is. So maybe there's something that we should do to basically try to address this, Zuckerberg said. But I was really worried from the beginning about basically becoming that sort of decider of what is true in the world, or that's like kind of a crazy position to be in for billions of people using your service. Yeah, it kind of is a crazy position to be in, but that's what it all boils down to. Who gets to decide what the truth is? Nobody, really. Like, reality decides what the truth is. That's what decides that. But these people are just sickening. Just outright sickening. Seeing the wind shift, and you're going to just shift right along with it. Then try to play the victim in all this. I'm sorry, dude. You can get the hell out of here. But who does get to decide what is accurate information, right? Like, we get news articles all the time. I constantly read them out. And I add logic to these. Try to think about them logically. And to try to figure out what's actually going on with a lot of this. And a lot of times, I find major inconsistencies. Of course, the longtime viewers of this channel and anybody that pays attention to politics a little bit knows that we get a lot of inconsistencies in logic from the corporate press. The corporate press is one of the main purveyors of misinformation. But at the same time, what can you do when information, especially these days, is everywhere, and it's hard to disseminate, or it's hard to decipher, what is true and what is not? Well, you can go back to, does this make sense? That's pretty much the classic, right? If it seems like it doesn't make any sense, there's probably something a little bit deeper going on here than what you're thinking or what you're being told. And these people, they have all kind of motivations to do all kinds of different things, right? Like a total ideological shift in this country. They get out there and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie. And that can work, right? We know that. You get lied to and lied to and lied to, and people keep trying to ram certain information down your throat constantly. Some people eventually will start to believe it. And that's where the ideological shift comes along, because you get the non-critical thinkers to start repeating your rhetoric, whatever it may be, your misinformation, whatever you want, right? You start getting these people to start repeating this, and then you slowly build upon that, and eventually you pay off some people in the mainstream media. They're right there with you along ideological lines or whatever, so they're just going to parrot those talking points, lie on purpose to promote whatever change that they want. It's all absurd. We got to stay vigilant. Sorry. We got to stay vigilant. We got to stay on top of this. We got to continue pushing back. I know a lot of people think, oh, Trump won, he's going to come in and save everything. No, the war never stops. Do you think that the left is just going to, oh, well, Trump won, so we're just going to go back to normal now? No, I'm sorry. They're going to continue doing this, so we've got to stay vigilant. We've got to continue, putting all these news stories, all their ideas under a microscope, break them all down logically, and figure all this stuff out to see, exactly, are they being genuine with a lot of these ideological views that they have, or, are they just trying to do something for malign purposes, if you will. But, it's all crazy, but I'm going to stay on top of this, so, y'all smash that like button if you don't mind, and subscribe if you're new around here. I would appreciate the hell out of that. I stay up to date with all the latest and greatest misinformation from the corporate press, if you will. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Do y'all think that, Mark Zuckerberg is just seeing the shift here and deciding to go right along with it because he doesn't want to be left out? Or do you think he's genuine and was just felt pressured and was kind of a coward, if you will, and just went along with it just because of the social pressure that was being put on him by the government? It's government pressure, but, it was kind of social by talking to you, saying, hey, censor these people. Censor this information regardless if it's true or not. Let me know what you think. That's all I got for this one. Y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.